Welcome back to our symmetry unit. We talked about line and rotational symmetry in other videos. Now let's talk about point symmetry. Point symmetry, if I put a point in the center, point symmetry, I'm going to try my best with that R and with this kite. Point symmetry says that for any point in this figure, there is another point the same distance directly across from that point. So here's a point. Is there another point the same distance directly across from my original point on the other side? And it appears that there is over here. Now this gets all very technical and kind of confusing, frankly. So a shortcut that I like to use is I just say if it has 180 degrees of rotational symmetry, if it looks the same upside down as it does right side up, then that has rotational symmetry. So you can flip your phone, if you're watching this on a phone, or an iPad or some other device, you can flip it upside down. If your shape looks the same upside down as it does right side up, that has point symmetry. So I'm going to put a little star there. I'm going to say 180 degree rotational symmetry. This one in number 9, we talked in our rotation video, and if you haven't watched that one, you might want to go watch that first. Our rotational symmetry video, we already said this has 90 degrees of rotational symmetry. We said it has 180, it has 270. Everything has 360, so we usually don't talk about that. So if it already has 180 degrees of rotational symmetry, then it, by definition, almost has to have point symmetry. This R, if I flip this R upside down, this is my best attempt at an upside down R, that is not the same shape. It looks completely different to me upside down than it does right side up. So this one does not have rotational symmetry, or I'm sorry, not rotational, point symmetry. It also doesn't have rotational symmetry, but that's beside the point. Let's look at 10. If I flipped 10 upside down, would that look the same? Does this have 180 degrees of rotational symmetry? So if you flip your phone upside down or your device and it looks the same, that has point symmetry. This looks like it would look the same. You know, if I took this and I flipped it upside down, that's going to look exactly the same. You can also think of this as, does it have line symmetry straight down the middle? So if it has that line symmetry straight down the middle, then you know that it has to have 180 degrees of rotational symmetry. So it would also be a thing to look out for point symmetry. Not necessary, but it is sufficient. 12 does not have point symmetry because this upside down looks different than it does right side up. You can see that the bottom legs are longer and these two vertices are higher up on the page if I flipped it upside down. Or number 13, I really can't attempt to draw this, but this point would be down here. You'd have the 2 points up top and the 1 point down below. So that would not look the same. That does not have point symmetry. So that does not have point symmetry. Z, again, we talked about that 180 degree rotation. If I take my phone or iPad or device and I flip it upside down, I rotate it 180 degrees, is that going to be the same shape? So if you rotate a Z 180 degrees, Let me see. You know what? Let me